Storytelling Part 2. The Climax. The climax of your story shows how you respond to the challenge. This is the most intense or surprising part of your story and often forces you to make a tough decision. You want the audience to understand what you value and how your values guided you in making a difficult choice or taking an unexpected action. Let's return to my story as an example. When the coronavirus came into my community, it spread fast. There were so many new patients to care for that my supervisor doubled my workload. I still wasn't being paid, and I had less time to raise chickens. But I kept seeing patients because it felt like I was making a real difference in my community. That feeling was powerful, and it got me through a few more exhausting weeks of working for free. Then one day, my youngest son, Sia, developed an awful fever. When the clinic told me the price for the treatment, my stomach sank. I didn't have the money. I felt a horrible pain in my chest as I imagined losing Sia. The next day, I sold all of my chickens. It was enough to cover Sia's treatment, but now I had no way of making money. It didn't seem fair. Doctors and nurses were paid for the time they spent serving patients. So why wasn't I and other CHWs? That's when I decided to take action. I raised the issue with my supervisor, and she set up a meeting with the community leader. She said he was the person I needed to convince if I wanted things to change. If you remember from the first part of my story, the challenge was that I was not being paid fairly for my work as a community health worker. The moment of climax is when I had to sell my chickens to afford the treatment for my sick boy. This is the climax because after that moment, my life would never be the same. I had to find a new way to support my family, and I had to finally resolve the main challenge. In order to get paid fairly, I needed to speak with my supervisor and the community leader. So, how do you write the climax of your story? Think about a difficult moment where your values were called into question, or where you felt sad, angry, or regretful. What got you to this point? What made you realize you could not keep doing things as they were done before? The climax is everything that happens during this moment. It's when the story reaches the highest point of tension. In my story, there were two events that raised the tension. First, a wave of COVID-19 cases drove me to work more hours. Second, my son became sick and I couldn't afford the treatment. These events forced me to respond to the challenge in a new way. If they didn't happen, I might have kept working for free instead of addressing the issue with my supervisor. What events in your life created a lot of tension? Be sure to include those in your story.